Invite Anupriya. It's not giving gratitude is a symbol of our success, ma. So I like Anupriya to extend a sincere thanks to you, ma'am.
It's my immense pleasure to be here to extend my hearty thanks to the delegate. Good afternoon, everyone. I convey my heartfelt thanks to the delicious delegate, Assistant Professor Sharmista, Shar- uh, PG Department, Hooghly, Mohin College, West Bengal, who has delivered such a fruitful core content in this conference. Your thoughts and opinion really useful our current scenario. On behalf of our institution and dignitaries, I thank you, ma'am, for your mesmerizing presentation. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Next, I would like to extend my warm welcome to our next plenary speaker, Professor Dr. Nada Ratkovic. I invite Mrs. Reggie M.K. Nair, Assistant Professor, NVKSD College of Education, to officially invite.
Good morning. Greetings from Croatia. I'm in the classroom and I'm working, so we are a little late. And now I can talk 20 minutes because I will be interrupted and I
Excuse
need
me,
to
ma'am.
change my classroom. So let's start my presentation.
Ma'am, excuse me, ma'am. Ma'am, there is actually a formal introduction section. We'll just introduce about you and then you can continue with the session. If I
Listen,
request if it's
please, can Professor Azra go before me? I will be interrupted. I need to change my classroom. So please, Dr. Azra can go before me to talk. Then I will talk.
Okay, no problem. No.
Thank you. I need to be disconnected for 20 minutes, so I will not finish that.
Okay, no problem.
A very good afternoon. I deem it as my privilege to introduce an eminent academician, Professor Nada Ratkovic. She is an assistant professor on Faculty of Economics, Business and Tourism, Split University, Split, Croatia. She holds master degree in economics, mechanical engineering. She has PhD in statistics. She is the recipient of many honorary doctorates in human rights, social ethics.
Excuse me, ma'am. It's not a brief biography of Azra, ma'am. You are talking about Nada, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Please introduce Azra, ma'am. Please.
Oh, okay, ma'am. Okay.
Sorry for the interruption. So it's planetary 8, Professor Atsa Tatsi. So we'll start with the session. Nothing ever becomes real till it is experienced. The art of teaching is the art of assisting discovery. So to make this session discoverable, we have Professor Satatsi, English language teacher with us. She is hardworking, energetic, individual, manages excellent communication and supervisory skill, and as an English teacher, she adapts reflection to building and engaging lesson plans. She is the active person who aims in adapting courses to meet established standards and individual academic capability. She acts as a friend and a teacher who try to be well versed in motivating the students to meet out the learning objectives. So it's my pleasure to welcome to this session on behalf of management, principal, staff, students, and participants of NDKSD College of Education. Welcome you, dear ma'am.
Thank you very much and good afternoon. And I wanted to share my slide. Thank you very much. Are my slides visible now? My slides are visible?
Yes, ma'am. Slides visible.
Yes. Yes. What is code switching? I know you are familiar with code switching. Code switching, as you see in the picture, it happens between multilinguals, language 1 and language 2. The emergence of code switching. The history of code switching research in social cultural linguistics is often dated from Bloom and Gumpler's social meaning in linguistic structures. However, the term code switching was well attested in the literature, and several studies in linguistic anthropology and social linguistics prefigured later code switching research in sociocultural linguistics. An important base for code switching research in the field of linguistics is URL, language in context. One of those inspired by Wendt's book was Hans Watt, whose language context is cited as the first article to use the term code switching in the field of linguistics. Code switching in itself is perhaps not a linguistic phenomenon, but rather a psychological one. Its causes are obviously extra-linguistic, but bilingualism is of great interest to the linguist because it is condition of what has been called interference between language. Code switching is not only natural but common. He suggests that all language users experience language contact, and that contact phenomena, including language alternation, are an important element of language change. What is code switching? The term code switching, or it is sometimes written code switching or code switching, is broadly discussed and used in linguistics and variety of related fields. Code switching is the alternation between two codes, language or dialects, between people who share those particular codes. Choices about how code switching manifests itself are determined by a number of social linguistic factors. It is quite typical in multicultural and immigrant populations. Code switching can take on several forms, including alternation of sentences, phrases from both languages, and switching in narrative. In normal conversation between two bilinguals, code switching consists of 84% single word switch, 10% phrase switch, and 6% clause switching. Reasons for code switching. In some situations, code switching is done deliberately to exclude person from a conversation. It is seen as a sign of solidity within a group. It is also assumed that all speakers in a conversation must be bilingual in order for code switching to occur. Bilinguals do not usually translate from the weaker language to a stronger one, and it's used for most often when a word doesn't come. Code switching is not a language interference based on the fact that it supplements speech. It provides continuity in speech rather than presenting an interference. When used because of inability of expression, code switching can be used in a variety of degrees, whether it be used at home with family and friends, used with superiors at workplace. Code switching is seen as a medium to convey both social linguistic meanings. According to Gompers, list examples of situation created to convey meaning as given below. To appeal to literate, to convey precise meaning, to ease communication, utilizing the shortest and easiest route, to negotiate with greater authority, to capture attention, stylistic, empathic, emotional, to emphasize a point, to communicate more effectively, to identify with a particular group, to close the status gap, to establish goodwill and support. Constituting can also be listed according to functions that they try to accomplish. Among these, the following 10 functions have been described in professional literature. Lack of facility, lack of register, mood of the speaker, to emphasize a point, habitual experience, semantic significance, to show identity with a group, to address a different audience, pragmatic reason, to attract attention. Communication. Sorry. Communication. I think I should share
Your
again.
slide is invisible.
Yes, yes. I will share again. Sorry for problem. Now visible, I think. Yes.
No, ma'am, it is in. Yes, ma'am, it's here. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Yes. As you see in the picture in the table, we have 4-factor communication, to ease communication, utilizing the shortest and the easiest route to communicate more effectively, to establish goodwill, support. One wishes to create a certain communication effect on wishes to exclude another person from the dialogue. And conceptual, some experience have only been experienced in one of language. Misunderstanding has to be clarified. Habitual experience, semantic significance. Emphasize, to capture attention, stylistic, empathic, emotional, to emphasize a point, one wants to make a point, to emphasize a point, to attract attention. Interlocution, to appeal to the literate and to appeal to the illiterate, to close the status gap. One wishes to express group solidarity, to show identity with a group, to address a different audience. And you can see human beings use code. Code means language for communication between them. Concept of code has already been defined. So without digging deep, it can be said the code is a system that used for communication purpose in human beings. The system can be a language, dialect, a register, or a style. So there exist thousands of codes on this planet of Earth, used by different functions of human beings. So it is very unlikely for a speaker to have command or use only one such code or system, command only one language, whether it be a dialect, style, or register, would appear to be an extremely rare phenomenon. Generally, people all over the globe keep a command of more than one varieties of language, and they switch between these varieties to facilitate the conversation. That is what we call code switching. Code switching is the process of alternating between two language varieties in a single conversation, while keeping up the linguistic features of that language or variety of language. Multilingual speakers often move back and forth between two language or varieties of language while conversing with each other to facilitate their conversation. This practice is code switching, also known as code mixing. As you see here, is the use of more than one language variety styled by a speaker with an authorized discourse between different interlocutors or situations. Speakers of more than one language, ability to code switch mixed language during communication. People switch code within a domain or social situation. Switch will be clear when there is an obvious change in the situation. Code switch may be related to a particular participant or addressee. A speaker may similarly switch to another language as a signal of group membership and shared ethnicity with an addressee. Code switching in multilingual communities, for example, in the shops, salespeople often switch to the language of their customers. The functions of code switching: 1. To show identity with a group to stress the fact that they all belong to this group. 2. Lack of facility: switch when they can't find an appropriate expression or vocabulary item. Lack of register: when speakers are not equally competent in two languages. To attract attention: shows that in advertisement in both written as well as in spoken. In India, code switching is used to attract the attention of readers, listeners. 5. Language switch from L to H can signal disapproval. We switch to express anger using different styles of English. 6. Use for amusement and dramatic effect by telling jokes for expressing emotions. And using actors in societies to make communication more effective, meaningful, and is first used by Hangsward Wenrich language context. Also, two or more languages are in use in one single conversation side by side and express authentic form from both basic language. Practice of alternating between two or more language varieties language conversation. And you can see what is and when occur. It occurs when a speaker alternates between two or more language or language varieties in context of single conversation. Example of code switching. You see here code switching in English-Spanish. The picture looks so cool. Which picture? The one you have in your messenger, and it changes to Spanish language. Yes, I like it a lot. Why switch or why it occurs? Reasons for code switching: high fluency, memory problems in second language, to mark switching from informal situation to a formal situation, to change a topic and by using an appropriate code, to exert control and between parents, children, influence of Western culture, express someone's emotions. General attitude towards code switching. In past, code switching had a negative effect, but at present, the practice of code switching is increasing. Worldwide communication centers on standard English, which, however, radiates out into many kinds of English and many other languages, producing clarity here, confusion there, and novelties and nonsense everywhere. The results can be often is chaotic, but despite the blurred edge, this latter-day Bible managed to work. Code switching versus borrowing. What is the difference between borrowing and switching? In this approach, borrowing and code switching are fundamentally different processes. Theoretical distinction is important. Borrowing means that the speaker uses a word from one language, donor language, in another language, recipient language. And distinguish criteria: degree of use by monolingual speakers. Borrowing is more frequent. Code switching is in bilingual language. Degree of predictability. Borrowing is more predictable. Degree of integration of word structure and pronunciation. Borrowing is more integrated. Borrowing fills lexical gaps in L1, For example, borrowing of renditions of English television or telephone. And bilingual, a situation in which monolingual speakers are put into an environment that prompts them to learn another language. Bilingual sometimes exhibits switching, code switching from one language to other in the middle of conversation or even the same sentence. Studies of child bilingual language acquisition and adult bilingualism have shown that frequent intersentential code switching is associated with high bilingual ability. Use of intersentential switching is associated with non-fluency or dominance in one language over the other. Conclusion, the ability to code switch intersententially may be used as a measure of bilingual competence. According to Milroy Moiscan, perhaps the central issue in bilingualism research is code switching. As a matter of fact, in studies on bilingualism, there is much evidence that bilinguals tend to mix their language during conversation, often within single utterances. In Asian countries, speakers who are bilingual usually have English as their second language and their first language is their mother tongue and dialect. European bilingual communities, French, German, Spanish, or Italian may use alternatively as the language of classroom instruction. It is widely used in multilingual and multicultural communities. Factors that modify code choice: participant solidarity and status, social distance, status relationship, formality function. Factors that influence code switching: no similar words in English did not know the English word to fill the gap in speaking, easier to speak in our language to avoid misunderstanding, to convey intimacy so others would understand, to add emphasize others. Teaching and code switching. Teachers use code switching to give students instruction to explain complex concepts and to explain difficult words. The function of teacher code switching use: express functions to express emotion, meta-linguistic function, paraphrasing other words, directive functions, speaker wants to direct someone, poetic functions, some poetic quotations into English-based conversation, referential functions available in other language, and second one in the term that lacks semantically appropriate words in other language. The final one is the terms with which speakers are more familiar in L1 than in L2. Escobar suggests that code switching is used in language classroom, other social content because of inability of expression and provides continuity in speech rather than intervenes in flow of linguistic expression. In this respect, code switching can be seen as supporting element in communication of information social interaction. Enhanced communication is used as a tool for transference of meaning. Attitudes to code switching. People are often unaware of the fact that they are code switching. When their attention is drawn to their behavior, they tend to apologize for it. Reaction to code switching is negative in many communities. Despite the fact that proficient interactional code switching requires a good control of both codes. In conclusion, code switching is a phenomenon that is inevitable in bilingual communities. It occurs mostly in second foreign language teaching and can be used beneficially in classroom activities. And in some, when you change language intentionally and you do it because of specific purposes, the presence of third person that does not hear the same language or the change of topic or situation. In other words, the switch is functional, means you code switch. When you insert a piece of word other than that of your language, you have no specific purpose or intention when doing that. That means you code mix. And thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for your session. It was a very informative one. I would now like to welcome Premalada from First MA to propose a vote of thanks.
Thanks.